Welcome to Health and Wealth Week. My name is Jessica Durbin, and I am a tax preparer, bookkeeper for small businesses, and I also do financial wellness coaching. So financial wellness coaching is becoming a really popular thing right now, where, especially in COVID times, where people have no idea what's going on with their money. We are here to help you. I'm here to make sure you hold yourself accountable with your budgets, generate different plans for tackling debt, because everybody's in debt now and it sucks. And everybody has to figure out a clear plan to tackle that by the end of the year, I would say, because COVID's not going to last forever. So for those people that are sitting on their couches feeling super sad and oh no, I'm dipping into my savings and stuff like that, money comes and goes. So I'm here to help you generate a plan to tackle the debt, figure out a new budget, and figure out ways to increase your income. If you were laid off for COVID reasons, there are other options, like turning a hobby into a thriving business. You have so many ways to create income. It's ridiculous nowadays, especially with technology, especially with delivery services for food or groceries even, anything like that. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about with that. So just doing financial coaching has been a very interesting experience for me, because I noticed in my own life that doing budgets and coming up with different ways to increase income and staying on top of myself as far as tracking my expenses and things like that just comes so naturally, because I am a third generation tax preparer and bookkeeper. So literally my whole family does this. I've done it since day one. Since I was 15, I had my first job and I was tracking my expenses and making really impulse buys because I was 15, 16, and I have had a different experience because I do have the knowledge that you should have that they don't teach you in school, but I also went out and bought whatever I wanted to. And so even with having that background, I did make those mistakes and I had to learn from them just like everybody else. But I'm also here to teach you how to do budgets and things that they didn't teach you in school, so that if you did have that similar past where you did emotional impulse buys or going to the store just randomly getting stuff because you told yourself I deserve this and things like that, I'm here to be accountable and make you realize your habits and triggers as well. So for today's, at least, we're going to be talking about your budgeting skills, things that need to go into a budget, how to stay consistent with it, how to stay disciplined with it, and then also creating a realistic plan to get out of debt. And I wanted to go over this today because the two go in together really well. So you should be incorporating debt payments to a credit card or a mortgage or things like that in your budget. So they kind of just go together. And I wanted to touch on the debt thing because it is real. It's real life stuff right now. So we really need to go over it and make sure that you guys understand and acknowledge your guys' debt. Or if you don't have debt, great. That's so awesome. But sticking with a budget is really a crucial factor in anybody's life. No matter what tax bracket you're in, no matter what your income is, everybody should be utilizing a budget, just because it is a very vital tool to anybody's financial situation. So if you're doing well, that's so awesome, and a budget should be no big deal to you. But if you're not doing so great, the budget is going to be such a crucial tool for you, and we're going to go over how to use it. And also, I do have a spreadsheet that I can that you guys will have a link to. So you can print it out or you can look at it online and type everything into it, and it'll be really awesome to go over that sort of thing as well. Okay, so I did want to talk about the 3 signs of why your budget might not be working if you do have one. So one of them being the numbers don't add up. So for me, being a bookkeeper, I add up numbers all day long. I minus out expenses from income and stuff like that. And if your numbers aren't adding up, then it just means that you're not using the budget correctly. You're not incorporating those irregular expenses. You're not incorporating the miscellaneous purchases that you're making just because you felt like it, or you deserve something nice, or you saw something pretty shiny and you wanted to purchase it. So you're not incorporating those types of things into your budget. So for my own personal budget, I literally incorporate everything. So I have it on an app that I use, not necessarily a budget app, but I go kind of more old school and a mixture of the two, where you can do a spreadsheet or you can do an app. So I like an app because you can check it anytime, anywhere, and I'm one of those people that checks her budget every day, if not once a week, once or twice a week. I have to stay on top of it because my finances are extremely important to me. I hold it at a certain level. I keep it as a priority just because this is my livelihood. This is my family's livelihood. I want to make sure that we are good at all times, and if I see any like discrepancies or anything like that, I can catch it early. So that's why having a budget and checking it frequently is so crucial. So when I do my budget, I have it on an app, which is similar to a spreadsheet, but it's on like a memo sort of thing. And so I list everything out when it's due, like my bills, and then I go through everything, and I also incorporate long-term goals. I incorporate any debt that I have. I incorporate trips I'm saving for, things like that, so I can put certain things into savings. I do like yearly subscriptions, like I do Amazon Prime. And so that comes up for me, I think like October. So I have to incorporate that into my October budget. So I keep it on my list of bills and my list of things to pay for, so that when that budget time rolls around, I know to incorporate that into everything. So you have to literally put in all of your like $10 subscriptions, whether it be like Postmates, DoorDash, whatever. If you have any type of subscriptions for like business stuff, like online subscriptions, you want to make sure that you incorporate every single penny, because then that means you have everything in. It's very accurate. The numbers will they'll add up, they'll total up, everything will be great. You'll be able to reconcile that month, and then you'll feel really great about your budget. So that's one of the things that people don't realize when they're doing their budget, and if it's not working out, then they just say, okay, we're done with this, I'm not doing it anymore, and then that's when things get really chaotic. So what I want to say in that regard is, don't give up if the numbers aren't adding up. You just need to tweak things, and you need to make sure that you're accounting for everything in your budget. Number two, you only look at your budget when you create it. So like I said, right now, people create it and then they just leave it when the numbers don't add up, and they forget about it. They're like, who needs a budget? Whatever, I'm just going to do my own thing. And sometimes that works out, most times not. So when you create it, you want to make sure that you create it and it's like in a very simple spot for you to look at whenever you have time, whenever you feel like it, whenever you need to look at it, like when you want to make a larger purchase, let's say. So an app would probably be like the best route for anybody doing technology stuff. But for people who don't find technology super easy and they really want it like in front of their face, like I have notes like this because I find that like my brain functions at a really high pace. So like if I'm talking about something, it just like leaves my brain if I don't have notes. So like if you like stuff and you like to write it out with a pen and paper, do you, whatever works for you. Like you need to create your budget in a way that's going to make you come back to it. That you're going to say, okay, it's time to do this. Put it on a reminder, do whatever you have to do on your phone. If you need to put it on a calendar or something like that to remind yourself to go over it, at least to look at it like once a month. You need to do that so that you can make sure it's working efficiently for you. And then if you ran out of money too soon, this is number 3. So in that regard, that means that the numbers aren't adding up, you're not checking your budget, so you ran out of money too soon, and that's just the big picture. So that's what we want to avoid. So when you're looking at the numbers on a regular basis, that doesn't happen because you are in charge, you are the CEO of your bank account, you run the show, so you want to make sure that you're checking up on it very frequently so that you don't run out of money. And if you see your account going a little bit lower than you would like, then that's when you come into increasing your income. And so if it is in like COVID world right now where people are laid off, they're sitting at home, some people are on unemployment, I understand the mental aspect of it too, where it goes into the health part of our week, where it's like financial stress is really weighing. Financial stress makes you just feel sad, depressed, want to sit on your couch. For me, it makes me feel the opposite. Like it makes me motivated. Like if I end up losing a client, let's say, because it happens to everybody. If that happens, it makes me want to go out even harder and try to like increase my income even more because I just feel that fire. Like if I end up getting something negative that happens to me, I'm sad about it, but I'm not sitting here dwelling in it. And so for people who do that, it is a vital thing that you do something with your budget that makes you feel like, okay, I want to get out there. I want to do this. I know that I need to make this certain amount of money, and this is what I'm going to do to go get it. Because you need to be able to hold yourself accountable. And so having this budget each month is supposed to make you feel like more involved in your finances, able to be more motivated on what you need to do to increase your income, and then you can see the ins and outs of your personal finances or your small business. If you're doing this for a small business, you'll be able to see what's coming in, what's going out, what needs to happen. Do I need to increase sales? Do I need to increase marketing, advertising, stuff like that so you can generate more income? There's just so much that goes into a budget, and when people hear that word, it's like earmuffs. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. And it's really like if you get in and you get it done and you take care of it, it'll be such a satisfying feeling to just know that it's all in order. I have so many clients that come in for taxes that haven't done it for like 3 years, and they're like, you know, it was just sitting there, it looked really scary and I don't want to do it. And it's like, that's fine, but now you're at a place where you actually have to do it. So once you get that over with, it makes you feel great. I don't know about any of you guys, but for me, that is a satisfying feeling. Is like when I know something feels scary or out of my comfort zone, I want to tackle it even more, because it's like, why do I have this fear? Why do I have this fear of money even? Like, what is your relationship with money? Why do you feel this way? And so like for me, doing financial coaching, what is financial wellness really? Like financial wellness is being secure with your day-to-day finances, feeling safe, feeling financial freedom. And so budgets sound super small in this realm, but they are like the key factor to making sure that you are staying consistent with your finances. And it really is just sticking with the ins and outs of what you're doing with your business, with your personal life, everything. So the budget is going to be your map, your roadway to whatever goal that you have set for yourself, whether it be short-term or long-term. So having a budget is so vital. So with that being said, you need to have accurate spending categories, which is like such a huge thing that people don't realize. Is like when you're making your budget, like yes, for me, I do more of like a list type of budget, and then I incorporate everything when I'm doing it. So like I know I could just do it like nothing. Like it just happens for me. I just put it on paper or on my app or on my notes or whatever, and I just do it. But for people who see this and it looks like, I don't know, Chinese or like some language that they don't know, something foreign, you know, alien looking, it is really scary. And I feel like having the accurate spending categories is one of the major factors that's going to help you have a really solid budget. So when you do categories, it's going to be stuff like utilities, rent, mortgage, gas, fuel, you know, grooming, haircut, stuff like that. Incorporate whatever you think that you do monthly, whatever you know you do monthly. So like miscellaneous purchases, like I give myself a budget for that, and it's maybe like, I don't know, $300 a month, whatever that relates to you, however much you think it is. I do this really awesome highlighting activity for miscellaneous purchases, which are called wants. And there are like so many outcomes for this. Like we have certain people that did Health and Wealth Week last time that came up with like 0 on their bank account, but then we also have the other end of the spectrum, which it was like $2,000 in just random purchases. So even those things need to be in categories for you. So if you know that you do Amazon Prime payments like every month, you want to incorporate that. Your subscriptions, if you do, like if you have an iPhone, you have Apple stuff, you want to incorporate that stuff into your spending categories as well. So like literally everything needs to have a category. And then also projections. So you want to have accurate projections, or like, you know, an estimated account of what you think that you're going to make per month, and then also how much you think that you're going to spend. And so when that comes into play, that's where like the miscellaneous purchases and stuff like that is such an important thing to have a budget for, because that's where you're probably going to have those areas of opportunity, whether it's like purchasing too much food for groceries, like going over that budget. That's usually one of the top areas of opportunity for household budgets and customized things like that. And then also miscellaneous purchases where it's just random stuff because you went on a whim to the store and purchased whatever. Those things need to be under the budget in order for your numbers to add up and for you to not go over and then have to, you know, come up with more income just to satisfy those needs. So then also tracking cash purchases is a big deal. So when you're purchasing cash, that's fine, that's totally great, but you want to know how much you have. So tracking what purchases that you did make and what they were for and things like that, that's going to be super important for any small business as well. So if you're tracking things and you have a bookkeeper, telling them about your cash purchases is going to be huge. But if you don't, that just means that you won't be able to cash out on expenses, on taxes and things like that. So cash purchases are very important to keep track of as well. And then using an app is one of the things that I would recommend for everybody in this day and age, just because technology is so readily available at our fingertips. So if you do choose to use an app for your budget, I would recommend YNAB. So it's literally YNAB, and it's like a blue little icon, and you can try it out for free. I think it's for free, no charge. Or you sign up for the subscription, try it out for like 30 days, and then if you don't like it, cancel it. That's what I would recommend, because they do have a really cool system where it links to your bank account. The only issue that I have with that is that it links up, but then it'll take maybe like 3 to 5 days to actually like sync every month or like every week. And so for me, that becomes a little bit annoying. So like if you're okay with that and you're not checking it on a super frequent basis like I am, go for it, because then at the end of the month your bank account will align. You'll have all your income in there because it's linked, so you'll have everything in the green. And normally when I do it, it's in the red because I've already, like, I pay my bills like on the same day every month, so then it's not really as accurate as I would like it to be. So I just do my budget on my own without an app. And so even for YNAB not being as like efficient as I would like it to be, I've tried Even Dollar or Every Dollar and Mint, and those seem to work really well too. And then Mint is also really awesome for global. So instead of just being for the US, Mint is available everywhere. So you could use it in Europe, you can use it in the UK, China, wherever you are. You can use the Mint app as well. And then also I wanted to mention an app for time tracking and travel tracking for people who travel for like their business. That one's Expensity or Expensify, and that one is really awesome. I looked into it. I don't really travel a lot for business, but I looked into it for a client that I had, and it was actually really cool. I don't know how it would work for everyone's business, but might as well try it out. And then also Prosper tracks investments, which is so cool because if you're getting into the investment world and you want to track it, you want to be able to track it wherever you are. And so having an app for it is really awesome. And then Wally is going to be the last app I'm going to mention, and that one is okay. It's like the medium of all of these. So Wally is also available, I believe, in Europe and in the UK, so you might want to check that if you are outside of the US, but the US does use Wally, and it is rather popular. YNAB is going to be like the most popular one out there, though, so try that one first. If you don't like it, move on to the next. Okay, so now let me get into debt stuff really quick. So I do have some strategies to go over with your debt. And if you guys have any questions about budgets or the spreadsheet, if you guys get into it, feel free to reach out so that we can help you with anything that you need help with in regards to your budget. I know I did cover a lot of information. My topic tends to be a lot of, information and very dense in that category. So if you guys do have any questions about anything, just reach out and we can talk to you about anything that you have questions on. Okay, now we're going to get into the strategies to get out of debt, which I have two methods I want to talk about firstly. One is going to be the snowball method, and this is going to be your little wins. So this is going to be paying off the debt with the smallest balance first, while paying minimum payments on all of your larger debts. So this is going to be the satisfying little wins that come up and you pay off, something that you had in debt that was like $350 or something like that. You just pay it off really quick, makes you feel satisfied, makes you feel like you've accomplished something. It's more for like emotional spenders. So this is something that I did with some of my debt, and I can appreciate this method because I am one of those emotional people that like have triggers like that and habits with their spending that are based on like emotional things. And so this method is going to be for you guys that want to feel things when you like accomplish stuff. So the next method is going to be the avalanche method, and that's going to be getting rid of your balance with the highest interest rate. So this is mathematically like the best option to go with, and it makes more sense if you want to get rid of the one with the higher interest, because in the end, if you do the snowball method, you're going to be acquiring more interest on all of your other debts while you're paying off the one with the smallest balance. So doing the avalanche method is going to be probably the better way to go, the smarter way to go if you have a lot of debt. So breaking that down, it's going to be the one with the highest interest rate, and then the snowball method is the smallest balance. So those are the difference between the two. And then also with the avalanche, you want to make sure that you are paying minimum balance on all of your other debts as well, just so you can keep up with that. You want to keep paying bills. You want to keep doing that just because of credit score. That's really important. So if you do have a lot of debt and you're going with the avalanche method, don't forget about the little guys too, because you don't want things to go into collections. You don't want to have that feeling of overwhelm where it's like, oh my gosh, so I was putting all my energy into paying this one really large debt off, but I forgot about all the rest of it. You don't want to feel that way. So you want to make sure that you have a happy balance between the two of those things. And then also, I said before, incorporating debt payoffs into your budget is a really big deal too. So there are people that do have debt in collections because they didn't incorporate into their budget that, hey, I need to pay this bill every month on this card or this student loan or whatever it is. And like for me, when I first had student loans, I didn't know that I had a limit or like a time frame of when I had to start paying off my student loans once I actually graduated. And so there was like a few months where it was like, I ended up getting an email or something in the mail saying like, hey, you haven't paid on this yet, you know, you're going into collections at some point. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I even needed to pay this. So that's why it's really important in your budget and when you're starting to get like a good clear plan on how to pay off your debt, that you make sure that you track things on your calendar even, or even on the spreadsheet that you use or the app that you use for your budget, to make sure that time frames are on there, deadlines, bill payment dates, stuff like that, so that you can keep really close track on when stuff is due. If you're like me and you pay stuff, you know, once a month at the same time and everything's just taken care of, that's great. But if you're one of those people that has like 2 paychecks a month, or you get paid weekly, or whatever the case is for you, then I would recommend putting on times, dates, everything, when everything needs to get paid. If you get a new loan or like a new mortgage or something, if you purchase a house, you want to make sure that you put on your calendar when that first mortgage payment is, so that you don't get behind on that, you know, right at the beginning. So you want to start really awesome instead of starting chaotic. So making sure that you have all your ducks in a row is really important when you start creating this plan to tackle your debt, right? And so I also have a tip for you in the debt world. So if you, let's say you pay off a bunch of your debt and like you're feeling super great about it and like, oh, okay, so I have this amount on my card now, do you use it on miscellaneous random purchases? The answer should be no, because if you can't pay cash for it, you don't want to purchase it, because you're in this vicious cycle of like, okay, you paid off your debt, now let's get into more debt because I have this credit limit now on my card. That's what a lot of people do these days. And then as far as like student loans or mortgages or stuff like that, like once you pay it off, great, it's all done and over with. But this is a huge deal for credit card companies, especially right now because interest rates are low. Everybody needs money. Everybody's going out and getting cards for whatever reason, you know, to pay groceries even. That's fine. But you want to make sure that you can pay for it in cash. So if you are using a card, the smart way to use it would be to use one for gas even. Just start with that. Like if you want to build your credit even, instead of looking at like the debt aspect of it, building credit, you're going to want to use the card and then pay it off immediately like the next month with your bill. So use it for gas and groceries to get points on it or something like that, boost your credit score, but also pay it off. That's the correct way to utilize the credit. So first and foremost, do not use credit unless you feel comfortable with the fact that you'll be able to make a payment more than the minimum if possible, or paying it off altogether. And then also monitor changes on your credit cards. That's going to be a big deal. So like negotiating things is an option for you as well. So if you feel like your interest rate is really high and like right now you can't pay for things like that, calling them and negotiating things is an option, and it really works because they in the end want to get paid just like everyone else. So they're going to work with you on whatever you need to do. So checking on interest rates and seeing if anything is available to be adjusted would be my number one thing that I would do if in the case that I won't be able to make the payment or something like that. You know, just open communication is key. So having that is for sure crucial, like having the communication with your companies, even if you have student loans. Like one time, maybe like 10 years ago, I had to go on a student loan forbearance because I ended up getting laid off. And they were so easy to work with me. Like I went on a forbearance for like 2 or 3 months, and it helped me because I was able to put like a little bit of money aside at a time so that once I did get back into the swing of things, I was able to make a payment and feel good about it and start paying off towards that debt again. And I also have a blog post that I wanted to talk to you guys about, which there will be a link available for you in emails and stuff. And it's going to be called The Debt Payoff Methods, the 4 strategies to tackle your debt. So that blog post goes into a lot more detail on ways to get out of it, strategies, things like that. And then also if you do have certain circumstances, it's always available to reach out, get advice. That's going to be one of my number one things to tell my clients is like, if you have questions about stuff, seek advice. Like talk to a financial planner, talk to a tax planner. Like for me, my tax clients, I end up giving them so much feedback when we have our appointments because we only meet once a year. So they usually come in and have like a bunch of questions for me. I go over stuff with them if they have questions on when is the right time to buy a house, because I can see what their situation looks like. For my specific profession, it's like crazy that health and wealth go so much together, because at these appointments, it's like they have to tell me their whole entire life story in order for me to gauge what circumstances they're in so that I can help them then conjure up this plan to pay off their debt, or whether or not getting a house is a good option, or starting a side business would work for them and their tax liability. And so there's just so much that goes into this. And like for taxes, it's scary and it's really like something that people don't want to do, and I understand that, because when you don't know about something, when you don't know what it is, how it works, stuff like that, it can look scary. But that's why you reach out and you get advice, because everybody needs help sometimes. So even in the fact of debt and things like that, reaching out and getting advice from somebody who's going to help you get a clear plan in order to tackle this in the right way is going to be so important for you. Like, if you are ready to make this move and you're motivated, you can hold yourself accountable to take care of this sort of thing. Reaching out is not something to be ashamed of, because, like, let's face it, there's a lot of shame around money too. So if you're having all of these feelings, my best advice would be to check in with yourself, become more self-aware on why you are feeling these things, and why, like, you have shame around your money, why you feel that it's taboo to reach out and talk to people about it. I do have a Facebook group, which is absolutely amazing, because it's this safe space for people to talk about their finances, to get advice, tips, anything that's going on. I have several people that reach out to me on like a monthly basis just to ask me questions about their finances and what would be a better option for them in their circumstances. So you finding a tribe or somebody that you can communicate with also on this matter would be something helpful for your mental well-being. And it'll make sure that you are holding yourself accountable. And if you need an accountability partner, there's always an option for that too. So it's just stuff that needs to happen for you, for your particular situation, and customize your plans of action for your debt, for your budget. Make sure that it's really tailored to who you are. And you need to make these things adjustable, and you need to make them tailored to like what's going to work for your system. So like, I do things completely different than like my husband does things. And so when you're creating these budgets, these debt plans, you really need to dive in on like what's going to keep you motivated, what's going to keep you holding yourself accountable. And like I said before, if it's reaching out to somebody and getting an accountability partner or a coach or something like that, then go for it. Do what needs to happen for your own well-being. That's what financial wellness is all about. Like, taking care of yourself and making sure that you are coming up with great like ways to take care of yourself all the time financially, because money is a lot of worry for a lot of people, and it runs the world, and you don't want to have this ball of stress hanging over your head when you think about your finances. Like, being financially free is the ultimate goal. Being secure, being well in your finances, that's the goal, right? So that's why we're here this week for Health and Wealth Week, and I'm so excited to go over so many topics with you this week. And me and London are going to go over a lot of things and how it goes together, and how your health and wealth really are this world that collide, and it's just amazing. And it's going to be so much fun this week, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys. Bye!